Thank God it's Friday. Well, what you're just about to watch, it may confuse you a little bit because I looked a little younger. Yes, because I'm just about to share Thank God it's Friday 2024. This is a series that every Friday shows you the activities here at Salento with Love, or probably the run around that I take place in my life on a weekly basis with many beautiful things happening. But this is 2024, remember. So whenever you are leaving a comment, remember that we are back in 2024. If you'd like to subscribe to the 2025, well then do that by subscribing to the Thank God it's Friday 2025. And also, when you're visiting Puglia, come stop here by the office and one of these fabulous books will be waiting for you together with a lot of other things. So enjoy Thank God it's Friday 2024, become a subscriber of Thank God it's Friday 2025 and have a fantastic weekend. Great way to start the weekend just before leaving the house. Well, did you know that I love baking? Yeah, one of my passions is baking bread. And I thought Monday morning, start of the day, bread is out of the oven, now I can get to work. One of the first tasks this morning is to meet up with a lift engineer. In one of the refurbishment, there's going to be a lift fitted, and all I can say is that it's so technical that you really need to get them engaged at every single step of the process. We're at that stage at the moment where it is important to get the dimensions right, where the doors are going to open and slide, and so the height of the floors. I mean, yeah, some places could be a lot larger than others, and they do require quite a lot of strategy. Here on this huge spaghetti junction where you've got the water, the electrics, everything running through. It's great because we didn't disturb anything, and after that the concrete will go over the top, bringing the level. With the lift being there, it's very important to make sure that the height and also the door that is going to slide into the part of the wall that it's embedded needs to be absolutely correct through this process. I think you can appreciate, as you're looking at this, the level of work that goes into bringing comfort into one of these homes that was built hundreds of years ago. So once everything is finished, you may see these beautiful finishes and tiles and old elements, but what runs underneath or inside the walls, it's a very complex and fantastic system that makes and brings the comfort to the property.
Allora, tu mi dovresti dire prima di tutto quant'è la cavità che bisogna lasciare qua dietro alle spalle.
Ok.
Così che poi io posso decidere in Siporex, magari vado con un Siporex da 8.
Ah, vai in Siporex allora.
Sì, no? Che perché qui poi avevamo detto con tuo padre che una volta che facciamo la gettata di cemento, soprattutto su quel piano lì, visto che abbiamo 3 sbarchi tutti su quella parte lì, le porte le faremo in base a quello che noi abbiamo lì.
Sì. Ho una domanda.
Dimmi.
Il pavimento finito lo sai già qual è?
Sì, ce l'abbiamo, 1 o 2 centimetri di spostamento ce li abbiamo.
Ok. Lo
Però
sai che gli sbarchi devono essere paralleli, no? Quanto cresci di qua, la spalletta in Siporex la devi crescere di là.
Di là, ok. Che noi le travi di ferro ce l'abbiamo a piombo e ce l'abbiamo esattamente dove ce l'aveva marcate.
Vabbè, quello poi quando mi porti i piombi te lo dico io se sta.
Ok.
Andiamo ad altri piani.
Vedi l'altro? Qua. Questo è lo sbarco cucina.
It's like a jump off one and they're all... Qui non mi apre nessuno. Questo no. E questa neanche. Allora faccio il giro, no? Il giro prima. Faccio prima. Let's go around the corner when the keys let you down. Monday morning. What's your Monday like? Because my Mondays are working on a little property around the corner, and this morning we just need to mark where all the electrical points are going according to the plans. Okay, passion and vision. I don't know what you got out of it, but we marked everything with plugs, sockets, and it's good to always, when you do this at this particular stage, to think beyond, you know, have different options. In this particular case,
You have an entrance over here, you have an entrance over there, so you may have to think intercoms on both sides, you may have to think of switches, you may leave the house from here, so you need to turn the lights off that are over there. So all of these elements, you have to think sockets, outlets. So are you sitting here on the sofa, you may want the TV over there, but then you may change and you may move things around and you may want things on the other side. So at this stage it's very important to get all those elements right. In the kitchen, you probably remember I actually got the plumber to do the plumbing on both sides, or when you have access, because this gives you options then when it comes to design the kitchen in this particular beautiful space, to decide if you want the dishwasher on this side, the dishwasher on this side, the washing machine on this side or on the other side, the basin. So very important, if you can, to have more. I always say this particular part of the installation, more allows you to have options, less restricts your options.
Passando alla fase 2 e quindi alla fase dei render posso procedere, quindi diamo per buona la fase 1 della progettazione e inizio i rendering in modo tale da procedere con punti fissi.
Yeah, and then once you go around every day, it's a lot of liaising with the architects and the geometra and the engineers, making sure that the project's coming together. We got 2-3 new projects starting soon. Buongiorno. Ah. Caspita.
Blindiamo l'affare e poi la casa diventa tua.
Sì, però il problema di questo, non avendo un periodo di tempo, perché lei magari non compra nient'altro per
lo so, infatti questa è la mia cosa.
Quindi la scelta la deve fare lei, non la possiamo fare noi. L'unica cosa mi spieghi come stanno la situazione, a meno che non fanno una caparra veramente minima, tipo 3.000 euro per esempio, significa che se magari esce fuori un'altra cosa e sono disposti a perdere le 3.000 euro, non è la soluzione migliore, non è la soluzione, però è una scelta che devono fare loro, non la possiamo fare noi. Tutto a posto.
Arrivano a Galatine Mobili del Rosario.
Arrivano direttamente lì?
Sì, va bene.
Ma la consegna da Maison du Monde?
Sì.
Ok. Ma sanno che devono arrivare nel centro storico, che la
Sì,
strada...
perché già entrate di fronte, come li scendano.
La strada tanta. Toti, devo farti vedere questa cosa, anzi che ti ho fatto l'altro giorno mentre c'era sul collo con Davide.
Si può dire.
Poi c'è un occhione che vuoi.
Ok, quindi ho mandato la mail con l'attachment della foto che ho fatto. Se mi danno riscontro positivo, faremo esattamente così. Vediamo la tempistica per fare solamente quegli interventi proprio basici. Quindi fare uno stage adesso.
Sì. Un altro.
Facciamo adesso inverno, primavera, facciamo uno stage e poi facciamo un altro stage che dovrebbe portarci a completare tutto per la primavera del 2025.
Se loro ci danno l'ok, poi c'è da organizzare.
E c'è da organizzare con portare Lady il casa mia a vedere il lavoro e vedere se hanno la disponibilità per intervenire. Well, just before I leave the office, 8:30 in the evening on a Monday, what a wonderful way of starting the week. But just a couple of things. If you have purchased a property in Italy, or if you own a property in Italy, or if you're going to plan to own, just a little thing about the electricity that sometimes I explain to clients. You know, your main breaker, the one that comes from the grid, the meter, so to speak, may just trip. And you think, oh, there is a fault on the line. No, there is not fault on the line. The way the system works in Italy, but the way the system works in Italy, you are contracted by the grid company a certain amount of kilowatt that you can actually download. So when you go above that amount of power, the grid just cuts you off. So it is a matter of contacting the grid company and paying just a one-off fee. I think it's a couple of €100, which will appear on your next bill and increase the amount of power that you can offload from the grid, or that you can actually have off from the grid. Now, just bearing in mind, you will always pay for what you're using. You're not paying for more than what you're using, but if you don't have a contract that allows you to draw more than what you need, your fuse is going to trip and you're going to be in the dark. So just important to get your electrician to tell you what would be a good number, and then you can have 3 kilowatts, 4.5, 6, to a maximum, I think, of, depending where you are in Italy, of about 7 kilowatt. When you go beyond that, then you'll have to apply for 3-phase. So hopefully this is clear. So just a little lesson of the day, which I handle more or less on a weekly basis, but I thought I'd share this with you. Che bella vista vedere il contatore del gas, sai? So we waited for mums, and finally, remember Friday last week? Finally the engineer is here and the gas meter has been installed. Davide, Paolo, finalmente abbiamo l'acqua calda. Ah, che bella sensazione.
È buono da sparire.
E infatti, manca il letto però. Se noi alle spalle di qui abbiamo il bagno, possiamo fare 2 altre illuminazioni lì, mentre in questa stanza abbiamo l'illuminazione là sopra. Poi, se ricordo bene, abbiamo 2 illuminazioni che sparano per terra lì. Abbiamo l'illuminazione là sopra, poi vediamo se c'è qualcosa sulla spalliera del letto. La cosa migliore sarebbe di mettere una lì e una lì uguale, così che sono simmetriche, qualcosa del genere che dia risalto al soffitto. Just about to meet with Fabio, which is the editor of Amazing Puglia. Fabio, buongiorno! Guarda, c'ho la telecamera accesa stamattina.
Non posso dire parolacce.
No, non puoi dire le parolacce. Entriamo? Hai suonato? Sì, no, stamattina 7000 giri. Buongiorno. Ma il campanello funziona? Ah, ok. So although I didn't share very much, but just spent an hour with Fabio Mollica, who's the editor of Amazing Puglia. Incredible, really, how some people with a vision can change things. In fact, he's also the founder of Game Changers. Are you a game changer? Well, a lot of the clients and people that know me, they are game changers, because purchasing a property remotely or moving to the other part of the world, it's definitely a game changer. So well done. What a fantastic meeting. And back to the office now. My sister is in the car. Hey sister! She's working. So this morning we saw the connection of a gas, which was very important because the people need to move into the house. Now I'm rushing to another property where the company that is responsible for connecting electricity, it's there waiting for me to establish where the meter needs to be positioned, and at 11:30 I need to be on the other side of Salento meeting a very, very important person who's probably changed a lot of things in Salento over the last 50-60 years. Raffaele Cazzetta, that is. But not before I go and look after one of my clients' electricity connection. Sometimes you just need to run because you're trying to squeeze in so many things during your day. Just about to turn up. You'll recognize this site. Well, I've turned up and the engineer is not here. The experience has taught me something very important. In this particular case, we have 2 properties which they belong to one client. The property here as a functioning electrical meter. So you may think, okay, well, these 2 properties, they belong to the same person. Why having a second electrical meter? Why can you just connect everything to that? Well, because these are independent units. So sometimes you may be tempted to save 15, 20 euros per month by connecting everything to one meter. But then what happens if you want to sell that property? What happens if you rent that property and you want to split the utility? you can't. It becomes extremely complicated. For me, it's very important to encourage and to actually guide the clients to do the best thing, looking at the future. But then the downside of that may be thousands of euros later on if you decide to sell one of the two units, or you may decide to rent one of the two units and the utilities are combined. So in this particular case, that has got their own meter. And this meter here, which maybe hasn't been on for 50, 60 years, and it's got a sill, needs to be replaced by a new meter. So it's a brand new installation. So although all the electrics is done for us and we're just waiting for a new meter, what it means is that once the new meter gets connected, this house will be totally independent from the other units. And this is very important. Make sure you do this when it comes to all the utilities, water, gas and electrics. Sometimes can be tempted, but long term is not really the best way forward. So now let's wait for the engineer, and let's hope I'm not late on my next appointment. Quanto è vecchio questo contatore? Anni 30, 40 forse?
Questo credo che ha più anni di noi.
Ah, sicuramente, vabbè, di meno, di te sicuramente, di meno.
Ma credo che
Some things cannot be recorded when they're official working for the company, but yeah, the form has been filled, and 30 days from now before they come and connect. But before they can actually connect, you need to supply them with the case into the wall. So we need to get the guy to dig the hole into the wall, put the box in, and also bring a cable to where they're actually going to be connecting to. So you are responsible for all of that because it's the facade of your property. And then they'll come, put a new meter in, connect it all up, and then the next stage is for your electrician to connect the fuse board to the meter. The result that was out of this was that because the old meter is probably 60, 70 years old, and it's not even on their records, and it's actually got electricity going through. So anyway, we're going to box it all in, so the old meter will be there and will stay there as a little feature.
Davide?
Buongiorno, dove sei? Casa Mare?
Sì. Ma qua la nebbia ancora sta non nessuno.
Davvero?
Porco gioco allora?
No, qua invece sto a Maglie, mo sto attraverso Maglie, sole, è bellissimo.
E qua le quattro colonne non si vedono.
Davvero no, incredibile. Wow.
Ne teniamo a manco 200 metri.
Ah, fammi una foto, deve essere bellissimo, con sta foschia, tutto così, no? Not my style, but I am traveling with 30 minutes delay. Fortunately, sometimes it's difficult to align everything. That's probably one of the things that I do during the day. I try not to have more than 2, maximum 3 appointments in my schedule, because it stresses me a lot and it doesn't allow me really to think freely and to create. But 2 incredible people in one day. Fabio Mollica from Amazing Puglia, the editor, and now Raffaele Cazzetta, who's an incredible person here in Salento. So. Questa cos'è, una cisterna?
Forse posso.
Dico, i pastori passano di qua adesso, no? Mi sa.
È possibile che
Wow.
potesse parlare.
Sono questi due stanzoni e poi?
Ci può essere anche una capacità di estendere.
Sì, ho visto dove è crollata la...
Crollata, quindi si può.
Beh, ste botole da sopra sicuramente indicano che potenzialmente era un granaio, a meno che non penso che le facevano per la luce in quell'epoca, anzi, cercavano di avere meno ingressi possibili. Invece questa
praticamente è
questa così proprio. Well, while Raphael is chatting with his son, I think I just wanted to share his work today with him and show me some of his properties, but also he's taken me to one of his plot of land which stands right next to one of the most historic pieces of architecture in the entire land of Salento, going back to the 8th century. I'm talking about the Abbazia delle Cento Porte. As I turn the camera around, what's left? A settlement of Basilian monks going back to the 9th century. And this is what's left here. Basilian monks that came from the Middle East, they literally brought so much culture, and one of those things that they did bring over was the techniques of making olive oil. A lot of personal conversations, but what an incredible meeting with Raffaele. Also meeting his son Francesco. Raffaele is also the owner, together with his wife, of a company that I'm definitely gonna bring into my YouTube channel called Pimar. They have quarries and they pull out pietra leccese stone, and they've been in the front line of the manufacturing of pietra leccese. They're also working with incredible architects around the world like Philip Stark and Renzo Piano and the biggest. So I can't wait, really. They've invited me to go over and have a conversation with them, and who knows, maybe getting inside a quarry where they're physically working on pulling out the stone. So amazing stuff. Anyway, just put loads of cardboards here of the microcemento being finished and applied. I just got loads of cardboards to put on the floor.
I was that. Yeah, I looked younger. Different hairstyle as well. Subscribe to 2025 and I'll see you every week on a Friday. Stay safe wherever you are.